Welcome everybody to Around the Rim, the Westwood basketball program. I'm your host Mike Gay, and we'll be bringing you weekly coverage of the Westwood boys and girls varsity basketball programs. Joining with me today are Coach Steve St. Martin and Catherine Clifford. Today we're going to look at the season to date, what's working and what isn't. We're going to look at what's ahead. We'll also take a look at what separates these programs from others in Massachusetts. And then finally, we'll announce the first Player of the Week for both the boys and girls programs. So let's take a look at the season to date. We'll start with Coach Clifford. Coach Clifford, you're 7-2. You've had good wins in league as well as out of league. What's working and what isn't?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. So as you mentioned, we're 7-2. We're not quite at the halfway point, but we can certainly look at this as a good chunk of the early season for us. Like you said, we've had some good non-league competition. We do that in an effort to prepare ourselves for tough competition in our league, but also down the road, take a look at the state tournament. We had home dates with Needham and Lincoln Sudbury. Both were wins for us against strong teams. They play in competitive leagues. We went down to the Hingham Christmas tournament, which was a nice little preview of some strong teams in the Division II South, which is our playoff bracket. We split down there. We lost to a really talented North Attleboro team, but bounced back and defeated Whitman-Hanson. In the league, our only loss to date is against Medfield, who's very strong this year. So that was a tough one, but we're hoping to bounce back from that against Hopkinton and later league games down the road. That's
great. Coach St. Martin, again, 7-2 record to start. Again, what's working on your side?
Well, the TVL is a pretty tough league for us. We have Medway, Holliston, and Medfield all at the top right now with one loss. We're behind with two. And every team and every game's been competitive. There hasn't been a blowout yet. Teams that have really pushed themselves to become much better programs. And then on top of that, we play in a holiday tournament that we hosted. We started last year, and we're doing again this year. That has Hingham, Walpole, and Foxborough, three teams that come from three very, very competitive leagues where they have Division I and II teams in there. And those three teams are going to be teams that we're going to see in the state tournament as well. So it's to prepare ourselves as much as possible. We were able to win both of those games in that and win the tournament, which was fantastic for us. So we're off to a pretty good start, but again, there's always things to improve upon.
That's great. Speaking of improving upon, Coach St. Martin, you're in your 7th season here at Westwood. Coach Clifford, this is your 4th season as head coach. I personally have worked with both of you for a number of years, trying to build a program from the youth level all the way up. And I know there's other things that you're doing to try to differentiate your program to pretty much any other in Massachusetts. Talk a little bit about that. What things are you doing outside the box or around the rim?
So we have some offerings year-round for youth. We're really trying to get involved with the younger kids and build them up. Our high school kids are the ones that work the clinics for us to go down and work with the younger kids, and they're as invested in building the future of these programs as we are, which is really great to have. So we have spring clinics, fall clinics. We run our summer clinics, which are a little more extensive, and the kids get a great experience out of that.
And we do it together. When I first took over, I started with just a summer clinic, and it was maybe 25 people there, and then as we built, and then when Coach Clifford got hired, I asked her if she would like to combine forces and try to do something much bigger. And so then our summer clinic numbers rose into the hundreds, and then we started with a fall clinic and now a spring clinic, and we've actually have the dates pretty much set now what we're going to do throughout the year. And again, we do it together, so it's both boys and girls, which is pretty unique. And for me, teaching in the middle school, I get to see the middle school, both boys and girls from 6th, 7th, and 8th grades walking, and you talk to them and you get them interested, and they're interested in doing it. They talk about how much fun they had, and those things that are pretty unique where you do clinics together. Most of the time, it's separate. Most of the coaches I talk to don't use this model. So for us, we feel it's very supportive and it's a great community builder.
That's great. You also mentioned tough non-league schedules. Talk a little bit about why that's important for a town like Westwood. Coach?
I think it's important for every town. You want to challenge yourself with your schedule as much as you can. We've had the opportunity to be able to do that with some open slots. Coach St. Martin will talk about the ability to play a couple extra games if you get the right competition, and there's some things that we're allowed to do schedule-wise that puts us in the best position. I think for me, I'd rather go lose to a good team and have another loss heading into tournament than play somebody that's not as great, that's not going to prepare us well for the tournament. So we try to make our schedule as strong as possible. We've been able to do that the last couple of years, and we're happy with how that's going.
That's great. Coach?
And for us, it's the same. And we play 22 games. So we play Bishop Feehan twice. They're what's called an exclusion school. There are a few in the state of Massachusetts which you can play them and it doesn't count against your schedule. We choose to count it. We figure every game you play is important and every game matters, so we count every single game. And these are all teams that you're going to see in the state tournament if you're fortunate enough to continually make it there. So why not play against them now and get prepared? Again, you hear this with talk on all sports teams, especially in football. You hear the Patriots talk about the non-league schedule and the schedule they have. Are they prepared for the playoffs? It's the same thing for us. It's the same mentality that we have. The better teams you play prepare you for what you're going to be seeing once you get to the state tournament, because everybody's good then.
That's great. So I mentioned at the top of the show that we're going to be announcing the Needham Bank Player of the Week. This is the first in a series of awards that we'll be giving out. So we'll start with you, Coach St. Martin. Really the first half, but we'll call it the Player of the Week. Who gets it on the boys' side?
Well, for us, it's Tim Giovino. I mean, Tim, we ask him to do a tremendous amount of things. He runs the point for us, which means when we press, he has to play the point guard in the other team and contain him. And then on top of that, he has to score for us on a consistent basis. Every team is trying to diagram and do things against him. For example, the teams will play a box and one, which they put 4 guys in a zone and 1 guy specifically on him to shadow him everywhere he goes. And with that, still, we ask him to score a consistent rate. And he never complains about anything. He shows up, practices hard every day. I know he's got bumps and bruises. He takes care of his body as best he can. And he just goes in there and tries to give as best as he can. So for us, it's Tim Giovino.
That's great. Coach Clifford, who gets the award on the girls' side?
On our side, over our last 2 games, has been junior Lizzie Kelly. She's had a nice start to her season. Out in Ashland last Friday night, she scored a career-high 10 points, matched that on Tuesday night against a very strong Medfield team. Great kid, hard worker. She's on a nice little stretch, and we're hoping she can keep that up for us.
That's great. So congratulations to Tim Giovino and Lizzie Kelly, the first Needham Bank Player of the Week. So we'll look ahead. Games at Hopkinton for the boys on Tuesday, game at home against Hopkinton on Tuesday for the girls, a doubleheader on Friday at Bader Gymnasium in Westwood, where you play Dover-Sherburne. The girls tip off at 5 o'clock and the boys at 6:30. So that's what you have to look forward to. A little shout out to the Den. The Den has been out in force, and we hope to see that, but also some expanded coverage. We need more people at the games. I'm Mike Gay, signing off from the Westwood Media Center. We'll be back to you next week with the Around the Rim, the Westwood Basketball Show.